Hello, everybody! Welcome to this special spooky season edition of a Pokemon ranking. We're going back old school a little bit. We're going to do a full ghost type Pokemon rankings here on the channel tonight. So, this is actually going to be, if you're watching live, thank you for joining me on Twitch. I appreciate it. I hope you are going to start commenting on this if you're seeing some of my additional content on the YouTube channel or Instagram or TikTok, as this can get you an entry into the giveaway, which the giveaway winner will be in the description of this video on YouTube tomorrow. Well, if you're watching this on YouTube today or whenever you're watching this, but if you're on Twitch live, you'll see it tomorrow. That's how it's going to be. But we are ranking ghost type Pokemon. Oh, you ranked me number one. Why, thank you so much, Connor. I appreciate that. So, without further ado, for this special spooky season, let's rank some ghost type Pokemon. Shall we? So, here we are. I went with an S through F ranking. This is the Pokemon Home renderings for the most part. However, they had no Scarlet and Violet editions yet, so I put those down with their traditional sprites, and they didn't have Legends Arceus either, so that is why we're going to go with that kind of milieu, if you will. Sorry, I'm just getting my dashboard ready to go on the live stream. But shall we? Let's go and rank some Pokemon. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Whew! 60, 72, 73 Pokemon. My gosh, 73 Pokemon to rank. There's a lot more Pokemon than I thought there were, but I'm going to try to do a little rapid fire on this. F is for a complete failure. D is for, not good. C's mid. B's high mid. A, obviously, you're great. And S means you are near perfection or perfection for me. I did a little, this is, went with the classic sheet white ghost vibe for the S. I went green in the F because if you're living, you're not a ghost. Therefore, you're failing. So that's what we're going to do with this vibes. I may skip the Megas and the G Maxes and stuff like that just for the sake of time. And also, I think that's a different category altogether. So we'll go with that. And without further ado, let's rank some Pokemon. All right, we're right with Ghastly. And by the way, I'm going to be ranking these mostly off design, but there's going to be some in-game use and other stuff like that. And we're going to go from there. Ghastly. I think Ghastly, I got to go with a B here. It's a Japanese-inspired ghost, a little bit different than what we in the West would consider straight ghostly. However, I really appreciate the gas cloud look. It gives that vapor vibe, that dissipating vibe. Really appreciate that. Love the black core, so it gives that color contrast to something. There is something unique and different and menacing about Ghastly's eyes and that dark black core with the menacing mouth with this wisping light purple vibe to it around it. So I really appreciate that. I'm going to give Ghastly a B from a Ghost Pokemon Standards ranking. And I may move this here or there, but we're going to go B for Ghastly. Haunter. Haunter's perfect. Those who have watched my rankings before, those who heard me talk, I think Haunter is a near perfect Pokemon. I think Haunter is superior to Gengar. That's personal preference. I like that it has more of that menacing traditional ghost look, but it has an odd personality quirk that just gives it more of a mischievous ghost vibe that would haunt you. And I really appreciate that out of Haunter. I love the floating hands that are disconnected from the body. I think that is an enormously wonderful touch, and that is why I would go S for Haunter. We're going to skip G-Max Gengar because I think that's a different thing altogether. I will comment on some things, though. I'm not going to rank it. I do appreciate the enormous mouth of the G-Max design. It's a fun design, and it just gives that portal to nothingness vibe, which I really appreciate. So that's why I'd say it's a good design, but I'm not going to rank it because I don't think it really truly belongs here. Next, Gengar. Gengar for me is... I don't know. I mean, I like Gengar. Gengar is good. Gengar is... The color is a little off on this one, but it's okay. I think Gengar is a good Pokemon for sure. It's a well-designed Pokemon, but it's a different vibe entirely than most things. Sorry, my cats are running amok all over me as we go through, and they're trying to ruin all my Pokemon cards, which are scattered all around me. But I think Gengar is helped far more by personality than it is by design. The design is fun. I can see why it's ghostly, but it's not inherently what I would feel is perfect. Um, but I really do adore Gengar. It's a fun Pokemon. It's just I don't like it as much as Hunter. I think Hunter has a better personality. I think Hunter has a better design and is frankly just fun in general. Now I'll go with a little bit of commenting here. I think Mega Gengar would be up in that S tier if I were ranking them. And Shiny Metal Mega Gengar, oh, perfection because it takes the really positive notes of Haunter and just completely amps them up. That's phenomenal. And I love that. And that's where I think Gengar should be the Mega at all times. Hi, Churro. My gosh. Apparently my cat Churro wanted to come and say hello. Right on my back. Hi. Hi, you. But again, Gengar, fun Pokemon. Misdreavus. I actually adore Misdreavus. It's gonna shock some people. I'm gonna put Misdreavus up at the S category immediately. I really, really appreciate the. Oh boy, seeing a possible. Oh no, okay, we're cool. I really appreciate Misdreavus because it has the Wisping Classic vibe, but it's a different vibe. It's a playful, haunting rendition of the Pokemon without being absurd or crazy, and that I really appreciate. But it looks like it could be your friend. It looks like there's some innocence to it, which I think is really important when you're going to do all these different renditions of ghosts of what to do. So that's why I got Misdreavus up at S. I really like the color schemes, just a little bit different. Alrighty, Galarian Corsola. Love the concept. Execution's not great in my opinion. It's a little too. There's not enough contrast. But I love the concept of just the draining white, bleached coral to reflect the horrible, horrible tragedies of the world from nature's standpoint that we live in right now. I love that vibe. So the concept's great. Not enough color contrast to really figure out what it is half the time, unless you're seeing a 3D rendering in the game. But I'll give a B to that. I love the conceptual work. Sableye, who I'm currently playing through with my Pokemon Emerald. I'm going to give a B to Sableye. Sableye's color scheme is far too close to Haunter and the Gengar line for me, and it's not done well, in my opinion. I appreciate the character notes of Sableye. Sableye feels like something that's almost out of a Lord of the Rings type fantasy, which I really appreciate as a huge fantasy fan. But it's something that I'm just looking at the design over and over again, and I'm currently falling in love with my Sableye, and I never really liked Sableye prior to playing Emerald on this playthrough. But it feels like an unsuccessful version of a cross between Haunter and Gengar, and not its own unique thing when I'm seeing them close together. That would be my problem with that. But it's a fun Pokemon nonetheless because they're so good. If you get a bad cross with still a decent one, I'm going to give Sableye a B. Shuppet. I'm going to go B for now, but a B might on the fringe of C as well. I love the different take in the eyes, the odd horn, odd. But I like the idea of just this floating being. That's kind of cool to me. I enjoy it. There's not much else to say about Shuppet. It's an interesting Pokemon. Here's another one. Bayonet. I'm not a Bayonet fan. Bayonet to me, super interesting concept. Don't like the execution of the concept. I love the Wisping Tail. That's great. Zipper Mouth, really, really interesting. This looks like another Tim Burton favorite. So from just looking at it, it's cool, but I don't like the execution over it. Actually, now that I keep saying it, I'm going to put it at the B category. And I'll drop Shuppet for now. But I don't like going from Shuppet to Bayonet. I think that's a negative. Because I'd say I probably like Shuppet more than I like Bayonet overall. But now that I saw the Tim Burton rendition idea to it. I kind of dig it a little bit more. But I'm not a fan of Mega Bayonet's idea either. Um, there are great design notes, but not a full execution here. That's why I'm not crazy about it. And I've never really played through with a bayonet before, so I don't have a lot of touches to it. Duskull. Duskull is an A. Door Duskull, Door the Skull Mask. The one eye is a very interesting choice. It's a bold choice. It's not a choice I would have made, but I really, really appreciate it. I love the bone backing. It looks like a ghost. It looks like a dead creature. It looks like something that could be a Pokemon. It looks like something that could be in The Legend of Zelda. It looks like something that could be plastered over Halloween in general, and it would work. And I love that about it, so it's going to be an A for me from the Duskull. Dusclops. It's definitely got ghostly vibes. Don't think it's as great as Duskull, but I really do enjoy Dusclops. It's an interesting concept at the very least. That's done decently well for the concept. I do enjoy that. Decent Pokemon in general in the game as well. Fun Pokemon. I'll go with it. Drifloon. Drifloon's one that I didn't have a lot of affection for until I played Legends Arceus, saw it, did a little more research to it. I'm gonna go a B again. It's like those high and middle tiers. What I love about Drifloon is the backstory and the lore. And when you know that, the innocence of the design is great. When you just see the innocence of the design by itself, in my opinion, it's kind of a dumb ghost. Like, oh, it's a ghost balloon. Cool. But when you hear the backstory and hear that it's a Pokemon that carries away children, like that is some sinister lore, and it'll just carry away children or just carry away people, taking them to the afterlife. That is ingenious. And I love the innocence of that mixed with this innocent design. And it's just all dark, and that's a horror story waiting to happen. Chef's kiss on the concept and the lore. Still a little too derpy to full go A or S, but I love the execution of the lore with this design. That I appreciate. Drifblim, too derpy. I don't hate Drifblim, but as a ghost Pokemon, actually, I'm going to bring it down to a D. Odd hair wisps that don't give enough. This, at least because it's swept back, it looks like it's a cloud. It looks like it's kind of wispy, ghost, fine. Drifblim does not have that for me. I don't appreciate that. Oddly like hair, even derpier face that I don't like. The red is an odd touch for these. The yellow I can understand though. So yeah, I just D. Not a great execution of the idea. Miss Magius, genius. That's an A or an S altogether. Miss Magius is perfection. Even scrolling through outside of maybe a few that I'm really in love with, there are not many Pokemon designs I adore more than Miss Magius. Miss Magius is a perfect design. It gives you Witch, it gives you Ghost. It improves on its original design by taking elements and adding to them and going different. Makes it so much more of an enjoyable concept and character on something I already enjoyed with Miss Drevis. Miss Magius is perfection. Love it. Can't gush enough about it. Spiritomb, F. Yeah, I'm gonna go F for now. I might go up to D. Spiritomb. Not crazy about the concept. I do understand there's some lore behind it, some Japanese myth behind it, and that's cool, and that's fine. But I don't like the execution of it. Face is kind of cool, something I might get intrigued by, but then it's just a random stone, and there's no work to it. And I'd have to do more research fully on the lore to give it more, but I don't like the idea of it as a Pokemon. Flawed execution in my personal opinion. So I'm gonna go Spiritomb F. I'm just not a Spiritomb fan. Meanwhile, Frostlass, that's an S. That's an A. I really adore Frostlass. I think Frostlass, the design is great with the kimono look, but it's got a skull like vibe, and there's something hidden with the ice tones. It feels more frozen, dead kimono girl than it does, or geisha, so to speak. With an odd, eerie vibe to it. That's really, really smart and key in the design, and I love it. It redeems a line that is ruined by Glalie, in my opinion. I hate Glalie, but I love Frostlass. And Snowrunt is a fine Pokemon that I'd probably like more if it was just Frostlass that involved in too. Um, but I love the design so much. It's just that flowing, wisping, different, really smart, unique execution. I adore Frostlass. I think that's an A Pokemon. Dusknoir. I'm gonna put Dusknoir at the B category. Elements I like, elements I don't like. I think it becomes a little too humanoid in the wrong way, and ghostly in the wrong way as well. I hate the facial feature on the stomach. I like the collar. I like the general vibe of the face and head area. Hands become a little too human-like with a big belly, but the facial features on the chest and belly I'm not crazy about, and it's a little too generic, wispy ghost add-on at the tail versus being really great execution for me. So that's why I'm going to say that is a B. And I'd think about a C as well. Giratina. Love Giratina. Giratina, Ghost Dragon, love the concept. I'm going straight up here as well. I actually really prefer the six-legged one versus the floating one, the altered form. But Ghost Dragon throughout, the color scheme's great. It gives you Dragon, it gives you Ghost. Conceptually, it's there. It's Pokemon Satan, and that's rad. She's a Ghost listener. Adore the concept, adore the lore, adore the execution of the lore. Giratina is too good. Giratina is just too good. It's an S. It's a great Pokemon. I adore it. Ghost Arceus, F. I don't like Arceus. I don't like the concept of Arceus. I don't like the design of Arceus. And the idea that it can be any typing and it just becomes a purple crest of its symbol. Don't like it either. It's more so it doesn't fit a ghost vibe. If it's a Pokemon God, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Unless you're going to bring other random things pulling from religion, which I think is a very dangerous conversation to get into from a Pokemon standpoint. And I'm open to anything design unless it just seems far too ridiculous. And for me, that's far too ridiculous. It's an F. I don't like it. Yeah. Yamask. I really enjoy Yamask. It's going to be a B for me. I'm going to go both forms are there. I love the original form just a hair more. What I enjoy about it is the simplicity. It's a fun design as we go through that I appreciate the standpoint that that is not on my list. I enjoy the clutching to something like it's the afterlife. That's a great Egyptian nod of where it's going, but it doesn't. It's got an Egyptian feel once you know, but I wouldn't say immediately like, oh, that's an Egyptian themed Pokemon. But I really appreciate that the clutching of the gold, and the wisping arms. There's just something eerie and ghostly about it, and I think that's great. Same thing with the the Galarian design that goes to Runerigus. I like the shift of the color. It makes it far more eerie from the eye standpoint, but then the clutching of a rune to fit the lore behind the region and behind the real life inspiration of the region. Genius, love it. Yamask is great. Cofagrigus, that's an A. And I would think about moving Cofagrigus up as well. Cofagrigus, I enjoy so much from the standpoint of it's a living, breathing coffin. You can see the ghost coming out of it. It's contained. It is a genius Pokemon. It's one that should have a Mega Evolution. It's one that should have a G-Max. It's one that should have a unique Terra. Should have a unique Zemu. Cofagrigus is an undervalued Pokemon. I adore Cofagrigus. The color scheme gives grand, regal, king, god, like Egyptian culture of the time that inspires the design. But then the constrained but escaping ghost hands, glory. Love it. Some might say a little too on the nose. I don't think it's too on the nose. I think it's great. Frillish. Okay. Where do I go here? D. It's not a ghost. It's not a ghost. And especially once I found more standpoints of why it's a ghost Pokemon for balancing issues in Black and White. it's not a ghost because it was intended to be a ghost. To me, that's really dumb because it doesn't give enough ghost to be something special for you. For instance, you have to have intention with your designs for the most part. There's sometimes you can just get away with things because you just come upon brilliance, but you have to be intentional in your designs. I don't think the look of these immediately screams ghost. I think you can argue it, but if you have to argue it and there's not much to it, that's a problem. I'm gonna go D. One could even say F, but it's more so just the standpoint of I don't think it gives enough ghost vibes. So I'm gonna say it's a D. I can see why they thought, hey, maybe ghost for these guys, but not for me. Um, Same deal. I don't think these are bad Pokemon. I think they're bad ghost Pokemon. The Jellicent lines, all kind of. I like Frillish more than I like Jellicent. In fact, actually, I'm just gonna. I think these fail as ghost. They look more like inflated balloon blimps, kings and queens, than they do ghosts. Doesn't work for me. I have to go lower with the two of them. At least I can kind of see it, and you're kind of going off of the weird eerie feel of jellyfish, kind of you know floating atop the water, just flowing through the ocean. Maybe I can get behind that for Frillish. I can't. Jellicent doesn't have those redeeming qualities. I don't think Jellicent is great. They're not bad Pokemon. They're bad Ghost type Pokemon, in my opinion. That's why I will say that. Wow, I'm cruising through this one for the most part. But there's a lot more ghosts as we move forward. Um, Now we go more towards the literal stuff. As we do that, I am actually going to go do this for 2 seconds because I have two children that just won't stop buggering around setup here. So we're going to take about 30 seconds of a break so I can go quick drink of water and go from there. But I will be right back as we continue Gen 5 rankings. Hold on. Peace. We're back. Give you the Kramer again. Alrighty. We are midway through Gen 5 now. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty much midway through Gen 5, which is crazy to think. There's only this many ghost Pokemon through half of Gen 5, which is, I guess, the majority of the Pokemon ever designed. Litwick. I enjoy Litwick. It's a little on the nose. I favorite. I like it, but it's a melting candle with a purple flame. Love it. Love the idea. Love the concept behind it, but it's on the nose. It's nothing too special compared to these guys with other things behind it, but I really enjoy where it's going to go, so I'm going to go see. Lampet, same deal. Love that. I love the upgrade to more the gas lantern. I think that's really smart choices of where you're going. I remember the first time I saw these Pokemon, I hated it. And the more and more I did research into Pokemon, the more I played the games, the more I just got back into the world. I really started to appreciate these Pokemon a little bit more. And then you go up to the A category for me, and I might consider an S for Chandelure. The whole line is great because the conceptual work builds. And the other thing is, if you're going to do inanimate objects as Pokemon, what's really smart is choosing things that fit the vibe of what you're going for. Classic horror movies, just classic scary stories, things that have frightened us for eons. We think old, we think grand things that have been destroyed from a lot of standpoints or have been deteriorating. You are always going to see a horror movie of old times with chandeliers and gas lamps and candles, and they just bring that different eerie vibe, that suffocating vibe of darkness, uh, taking away something. And I really, really appreciate that. So that's where I gotta go. The chandelier line is really, really smart. And I think the chandelier design in general is just a sweet looking design. I really appreciate that as a critiquing of design work. Love chandelier. Chandelier is cool. Gullet D. Um, what about it says ghost? Virtually nothing. Golems, besides the concept that it's working on with the golems being trapped to life or brought back to life or being ghostly because they're a living object that's not living in some way, shape, or form. That's an interesting concept. Not much to it. So I'm going to say D on Golett. Golurk, I'm going to go C with the crap. It's literally these things. Things that are good about this are amped a little bit more here. The idea, the lore, the concept behind a golem coming to life, but it's still controlled and eerie and weird, fit better here simply because they put that crack across the chest. They put that plate, half fixing it like a horrible band aid. It at least gives it a little bit more dead personality, something that's been injured or hurt and needed to be brought back to life. This husk, the shell of something. That simple detail takes it from a D to a C because you can believe it's a ghost Pokemon. I think it needs more ghostly features to go higher because I am a fan of the overall just design of Golurk, but not enough to bring it to a great ghost design standpoint and things of that nature. So I'm gonna go same deal C. Um, it's gonna pain me because I really like this line, but if I'm going off what this, I'm gonna go C, I guess, for Hone Edge, uh, and Doublade. My issue is similar to the Golett Frillish vibes. Is what about it really says ghost? There is a menacing face to it. The only thing I will give it is the natural. It has the natural um, depth of being a weapon. Being a Pokemon designed off of a weapon inherently creates a sense of danger and a sense of dread and a sense of consequence because of how often we've had to use weapons. We've had to stretch here, folks, as humanity. How often we're thinking of those double meanings, but it's built in. So that at least alone takes it. Again, it's another one, kind of like the Chandelier line. First time I thought about it, hated it. Hated it the first time I saw it. I thought it was incredibly stupid. But again, as I've grown into liking it a little bit more, and also the lore of the Kalos region with a war. And it's recovering from a war even centuries and millennia later. Smart to have a reinvigorated ghost in the blade of in the blade of a soldier. That's genius as a Pokemon. So the lore takes it to the sea. The design doesn't say a lot about Ghost except the inherent eeriness and danger of a weapon. That I will give to the C though. Aegislash, on the other hand, that's an A. It has the danger elements, as the lore elements, but the color scheme, the vibes, and it becoming a living, breathing weapon that looks like a dreadful king or a dreadful ruler, so much better. It gives these look, if you're going to follow my cursor, Doublade, Honedge, they look like inanimate objects that are inanimate objects that you have to stretch for. Aegislash has a living, breathing personality that gives off ghost, that gives off death because it is fighting. It is warring for conquest. It's warring for victory. Ergo, there will be death involved. So Aegislash is far better from that standpoint, and I really appreciate the personality of the two different stances and the two different forms. That's really, really smart. I appreciate that in Aegislash. Fantup's great. It's a ghost in a tree trunk. It's a little, and the horns are just tremendous. I love Phantom. Phantom's great. Trevenant, same deal. Scary tree. These I don't feel like I have much to say about them because they speak for themselves. They're great ghost designs. They immediately hit you over the head with why they have to be a ghost. But again, it takes that classic elements of things that scare us, things that frighten us, things that have made us feel uneasy in the world history, brought them to life in a Pokemon form. A ghost. Really smart, really genius. Phantom, innocence of it, little tree folk, things like that. And then the trees coming to life and attacking us. Very common fear when you're in a forest. You feel like everything's out to get you in the dark. If you've ever been in the dark in a forest and you let your imagination roll a little too much, that could happen. So I adore that from both of these. So I'm gonna go with that through an A, and I'd highly consider this territory as well. Pumpkaboo is genius. Pumpkaboo is an A. It's a jack-o'-lantern. It's genius. I love it. I love the little bat face of the leaves. That's the true face of it. That's genius. Whereas Gourgeist, I think, is a B for me. I'm not crazy about Gourgeist design. I think it's a down tick, even though it looks more jack-o'-lantern here from the body. This being a gourd, I'm not crazy. I know there's history behind that. I know there's actual evidence behind that. But again, just for me, it doesn't work as well. But it's still great. The wisping leaves, the dead leaf look. A jack-o'-lantern just screams Halloween, screams ghost associations there. It works. Sandygast. Sandygast is a B. Sandygast is smart. Taking a sandcastle that can devour you and putting the danger into something of the innocence, again, like a Drifloon, genius. I love that. And Palisand, same deal. Do they have to be ghost? No, but at least bringing something so lifeless as sand, which is usually associated with lifelessness in a desert, bringing a lifeless concept, object thing to life and invoking old stories of dread and terror, smart. It's really, really smart, and I love that conceptual work. And I love the innocence being toyed with the little child's shovel in the head each time. That's so smart. It is such a unique feature because it's, again, I haven't played with all these. I played a little bit of almost each of these Pokemon, some to a greater degree. Obviously, I've played a lot of Haunter. When I got the chance to be with Giratina, played a little bit more Giratina. Love Misdreavus, love Mismagius. Big fan of Aegislash. Now I'm playing a lot with Sableye. These are all Pokemon in game that have benefits. They're ghost Pokemon, but they have danger to them as well. But I love the lore concept, the conceptual work, and the tarnishing of innocence here is so smart and so wisely underplayed in the Sandygast and Palisand line. It's really, really smart. Again, it doesn't really count as a ghost type. Ghost type Silvally, stupid. Don't like it. Don't like Silvally in general. The Chimera idea is a great idea. Don't like the execution of it. Yeah, Silvally as a ghost, don't care. Same thing as Arceus. But I don't hate the concept of this. I hate the concept of Arceus. Don't hate the concept of Silvally, but just, it's got purple feathers now, so it's ghost. No, not gonna go. The ghost Pokemon, Mimikyu is pure brilliance. It's pure brilliance. And then the lore behind it, it just wants to have friends, but in order to have friends, it has to hide its true appearance because it will scare someone to death. That is utter brilliance. Mimikyu, as my brother lovingly loves to refer to as Tim Burton's Pikachu, which it has those vibes, and that's great. But just, again, it's the loss of innocence. It's death is associated with it by nature. Genius. Chef's kiss, brilliant. Genius. Mimikyu is perfect. Perfect. Delmise. I really enjoy Delmise. I think Delmise is a really smart design. and I'm going to go an A for Delmise. To make it almost a ship captain that was sunk at sea, and maybe it's the ship captain's ghost that's in that's created Delmise, or maybe Delmise is the ship that took down, like maybe it was trying to get people from the start. The conceptual ideas that ring because of Delmise are really, really smart, and you achieve something really ghostly without having to do the classic wisps or anything that I've been really preaching that I love. Delmise does it in a completely different way, and that's what makes it so smart. And I really appreciate that from a Delmise. Delmise is cool. I really, really appreciate Delmise, and that's why Delmise is a name. Marshadow looks like a ghost, little fighter ghost. It's a B. Looks like a ghost. Is a ghost. Looks like it's got something crazy behind those red eyes. It works. Kind of hits the nail on the head. Blacephalon again. It's weird. It's unnerving. So I'm going to give it a D. Weird and unnerving in this category of ghost, good. But it looks like screwed up clown that's unnerving. Doesn't have any ghost vibes to me. But at least because it's unnerving and weird and just unsettling in some ways, at least it kind of fits the bill, kind of like Frillish. So I'm gonna give a D to Blacephalon. Interesting take on a Pokemon. I don't hate the Pokemon itself, especially from the weird monster conceptual ideas of the Ultra Beast, but not crazy about Blacephalon from a ghost standpoint. So now we're finally Gen 8 and beyond. Sinistea. Let's see. It's a haunted teacup. Okay. Inanimate object. Good idea. Smart. Enjoy that. They're at least with the color scheme is enough to bring something to life that normally doesn't have life. Like that idea. It's a C because it's pretty on the nose. Poltegeist. Poltegeist is better. A ghost living inside the tea, that's really smart. I like the different ideas of the cracked form and the pristine form and all that kind of stuff. Really smart. I just like the idea of this ghost living in the teapot. I think that's just an interesting move, an interesting concept to work with. Yeah, Poltegeist is a B for me. I don't have a lot to say about them because it's just straightforward, but it gets the point across. It's smart. And I enjoy it. Runerigus. I'm gonna go A. Really unique and crazy way to play with Cofagrigus' ideas and put him into the runes. That this has more of a classic Nordic dragon, classic Anglo-Saxon dragon, more like the worm concept of a dragon. Thank you, Dana Oswald, and my English degree for that. From that look. So I really appreciate it. Almost looks like something out of Beowulf, which is really smart if you're going for a region based off of the UK to play off the Viking ideas, because the UK is founded a lot by Vikings, even though people never acknowledge that. Really, really smart. I really like that play of the rune coming to life and the story coming to life through ideas of the dead. That's really cool conceptual work with a very cool execution of it, and just unique. It's not something I think I ever would have thought of to do, but once I saw it, I was like, genius, great. Rune Raising's an A. Smart. Cursula. This is where we get to A category. I'm not crazy, actually, about Cursula. But when you take Bleach dying, the world has treated me unfairly, Coral in Cursula. And then it becomes Vengeful Spirit Cursula, where it looks like it's exploding in this awful, terrible video game way. Almost like a Kirby villain or almost like a Zelda villain. And becoming this very dangerous, threatening thing because of what you've done to it. That's really cool. And that's where the bleached out white works, because just that collar look, just that slight shading, brings it up a notch. And just this innocent little thing that's surrounded by danger because of what we've created for it to live in, that works. the conceptual work is there. Is it perfect in my opinion? No, but it's really really smart. And if I'm going to give so much credit to a lot of these guys, I got to give the same credit to Cursula. So Cursula is really smart. I enjoy it. Dreepy. Dreepy, I'd put it as a B. Ghost Dragon gets the point across. Wispy tail, but there's dinosaur vibes, which gives it that extra layer. Very cool. Really appreciate it. Dragalope. Or Drakelock, whatever a lot of people like to say. I'm going to go Drakelope or Dracolock. Again, I'm going to go A for Drakelope. I love the idea of Ghost caring for a smaller ghost, but then also using it as a weapon because it knows it has an advantage because it can't be hurt as much. That's really, really smart. And so smart. And I'm kind of rushing through a little bit because I wanted to get to Dragapult for this line. Dragapult is an S. Dragapult is genius. Dragapult looks powerful. It looks unique. It looks different. But it has all the ghost vibes, but it looks like a dragon, but it still has the extra dinosaur vibe. Wrap that up. It's a perfect ghost. Using young that cannot be hurt as a weapon again, really, really smart. But these little weak talons, these little weak appendages are really, really smart because it balances that intimidating nature of Ghost with the dead conceptual idea of what has to happen for it to be a ghost. With that, I just adore Dragapult's design. It's so smart. Dragapult I played a lot of. It is definitely one of my aces in Scarlet and Violet when I play. Dragapult and Arcanine do not leave my party in Scarlet and Violet. They have permanent residence there for that reason. But it just has so many different unique character designs that lend itself to a ghost without hitting you over the head with it's purple, it's a ghost, or it's black, it's a ghost. Really interesting and unique design. Whoever designed fully Dragapult, chef's kiss to you. Spectre, Ghost Horse, hits the vibe, works. Lobi, fine. Not a legendary Pokemon, but whatever. Even though it is a legendary Pokemon. Shadow Rider Calyrex, higher B. I'm not putting them in any particular. I'm just going to do this just so we differentiate them a little bit. This at least looks like Sleepy Hollow, Ghost King, Riding-esque vibe with the Spectrier, but it's the exact same Pokemon, just with a rider, but it gives it more that ghostly vibe and evokes more ideas of ghosts and Halloween and things of that nature from the Sleepy Hollow vibes I get from Calyrex riding it. But they're both beasts. It's Ghost Horse or Ghost Horse with a rider. It works. Hits the concept, but it's not tremendous. Basculegion. Basculegion I really, really enjoy. That's yeah, Basculegion's gonna be A. Some of the other ones I have an A. I'm gonna have to go Basculegion as A. Basculegion is A. I just love the anger and the rage elements of this vengeful ghost idea. It's not played much here. If you look at the rest of the designs, it's a lot of innocence in death, or lost spirit, or sad. There's not a lot of menacing anger in a lot of these designs. And it's really smart to have that as a vengeful ghost coming to haunt you and using Basculin that's already angry and just amping it up and turning it into this vicious ghostly creature. Really smart. Really enjoyable. And I like Basculegion for those reasons. I love how it fades, but it still keeps the tail in the form, but it fades to be less concrete as a design. Really, really appreciate that element of Basculegion. So Basculegion's an A. Skeledirge. We're going off ghost rankings here. I can't get past a lot of the design flaws. I'm gonna go C. Color scheme says I at least can get behind the ghost. The weird southern hoodoo roots, the weird bayou creature vibes give Ghost enough. The flame spirit bird on its nose Interesting design choice. I appreciate that. Uh, the random flames just take me out of this design so much. It's a dumb design choice. I don't like it. Um, a lot of it screams Ghost Go when you're not thinking about it. So it has those underlying things that I gave the same points to uh, Hone Edge and Double Edge. So I'm going to give the same to Skeledirge and be fair. There's things to bring it up to a ghost, but it doesn't give full on ghost vibes. So that's highly problematic. Ceruledge, that thing is Ceruledge is awesome. Um, again, I only did this because it's right on the fringe. I don't really care about ranking all of them because I'm gonna probably change them up a little bit. Ceruledge is so that just screams dark ghost warrior. I don't have to explain much about it. It just looks badass and it looks very much like a ghost warrior, and that fits the vibe of Ghost really well. So I'm gonna give Ceruledge an A. Ramblin'. Love the concept. Don't like the execution, but I at least can see why it's a dead ghost. Not much else there. Brambleghast. Same deal. What about it really says ghost? Not much outside of a tumbleweed being associated with ghost western towns or western towns that um, just don't have much going on because they're fearful of things that happened. But there's not much else to it. But it's just such a weird, basic Pokemon that there's not much else behind it. So that's why I'd go. It's C because at least it gets the vibes right, and there's not much to its structure or form, which allows it to get more of that emptiness ghost to it. But I'm just gonna say C for those guys. Greavard's an A. Greavard's an S. Greavard's perfect. The Gravy Boy is perfect. That looks like the perfect execution of a cross between a Pokemon, a ghost, Dead Dog, and Hanna-Barbera all wrapped into one. And just the lore, the idea. I saw this on one of the Pokemon cards that I'm collecting right now. The idea behind it, or a lore piece behind it, is it's a dog that never got to become friends or really meet humans and have human contact. And so it's so just wants a friend that it's so excited to be your friend that it stayed and became a ghost. That is adorable and so heartbreaking and heart wrenching, but also heartwarming at the same time. This is why people need to treat animals with respect. Greavard is a perfect example of why we need to treat animals and cats and dogs and everything like our pets so fondly and so wonderfully. Um, Greavard hits all those notes. The friend that you want to keep around even after they're dead. It's got that Casper vibe to it. Greavard is perfect. I love the Gravy Boy. I love my Gravy Boy. Greavard's phenomenal. I cannot talk about Greavard enough. I love Greavard. Houndstone. I go down to an A with Houndstone. I think it takes away some of the charm, becomes more skeletal. It's had you told me the concepts before, no drawings, just concepts, I probably would have said, "Oh, Houndstone's going to be my favorite." I'd go against that. I think the Greavard execution, the concept, everything just screams ghost and screams rad. Whereas Houndstone's a little too on the nose with the skeletal jowl and the skeletal face and the gravestone on the head. It's a cool element. I don't hate Houndstone, but it's a downgrade from Greavard in my opinion. It's a little too on the nose for the design, but still, it's great ghost Pokemon. Annihilate again. That's S. What a genius concept! Taking Primeape, which immediately has anger, and saying that. What are you saying when it becomes an Annihilate? That it died? It's still vengeful and rageful and needs to win the fight? Or is it so prideful that it has to go into these deep, dark regions of its soul and turn itself into Annihilate to win? Either way is genius, and it's a great concept for a ghost. Color scheme is great. It looks like something that it looks almost like the spirit, an evil spirit inhabiting a Primeape. but still has its own unique features. Really cool concept work. Annihilate was one of those really, really pleasant and happy surprises I had from Scarlet and Violet. There weren't many of them for me in Scarlet and Violet, but um, Annihilate definitely was a huge positive there for me. I really enjoy Annihilate. Uh, Fluttermane. Fluttermane's great. Um, I don't like the idea of Fluttermane. I don't agree with a lot of the Pokemon I picked for Paradox Pokemon. But again, I don't get to choose everything in this world. Um, but it looks like a prehistoric ghost. And it works and it has all the touches of it. And I enjoy everything about Miss Revis and Miss Magus. And it hints to where it's going a little bit more and plays with the headpiece more. But looks like this out of control crazy ghost from a distant past. Really smart, really enjoyable. That's an S rank for me. Gimme Ghoul. Chest form, B. Roaming form, C. Chest form gives you more identity of the character and more identity of the vibe it's going for, and it's a spirit that haunts treasure or just sticks with treasure. Interesting little fun concept. It's a treasure chest with a little guy in it. Gimme Ghoul in the roaming form. What about it says ghost? Not much. But at least this kind of has it. But at least you kind of get it, but you kind of don't. I'm going to do this. I'm going to say Gimme Ghoul in roaming form is this, because what about it says ghost? This feels like haunted treasure, sticks and treasure long gone, different vibes. That's why I'll say the chest form goes to the B. It's one of the few where I don't immediately put similar forms in the same one because it's so. The chest design says so much more about the character, brings so much more of the ghost vibe out. That's really smart on Gimme Ghoul's part here in the chest form. So I'm going to go there. Goldango. This is a ghost Pokemon rankings, not just Pokemon rankings. Goldango, I don't like Goldango. I think it's a sad evolution. Way too much work to get said evolution as well. And what about it says ghost? Nothing. So I'm gonna have F for Goldango, which is sad. Is it Poltergeist? And Sinisty? I need to look up. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to look up the names of these guys. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I'm breaking the cardinal rules here of doing things. Sinistra. Sinistra. So, okay. So, Poltergeist and Sinistra. I'm so sorry. Those are brand new Pokemon to me, and I haven't really encountered them. Poltergeist. Looks like an odd little ghost. I know that was a lot of work just to get that analysis, but. Okay, it's a little ghost. Bringing life to an animate object that doesn't have one. You want to go off Sinisty. Okay. Sure. Same deal. I'm gonna go here. It looks like a ghost inhabiting something. Poltergeist or Sinistra. Sinistra, I guess is how we would say that. Interesting the crossing of the two, where they each have different vibes associated with another one, but the names flipped. Sinistra, it looks like a ghost inhabiting a matcha cup. Interesting idea. Interesting concept and interesting execution. It's not bad. It's just not the high point of Ghost, in my opinion. But there you have it, folks. This is our current rankings of Ghost Pokemon. I would toy with, if I were going to split up some of our large categories, if I was going to toy with it. But it's pretty balanced to what I thought it would be because I'm a big fan of Ghost type Pokemon. They usually hit those designs pretty well. Um, you know, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. I mean, 9 S's for ghost Pokemon is pretty rad. Does it hit my personal standard of stuff I really love? Yeah, I love ghost Pokemon. If I were gonna pick one Pokemon type, it would be Ice or Ghost. Ghost I'd probably lean a little more Ghost, but just because Ice is a vulnerability and a liability in the games. So still at 9S is pretty phenomenal, and there's a lot that could go up. I'd highly suggest Trevenant maybe go up. Chandelure could go up. Ceruledge I could think about going up. Brunomagus, Delmise even. I could consider those going up, and I wouldn't argue too much. Duskull wouldn't argue too much from a ghost standpoint. So I mean, it's pretty rad. 16. Well, let's count them out. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2, 3, 4, 9, plus 7, 16. Yeah. So 16 Pokemon in the A category, pretty rad. 17 Pokemon in the B category. 11 in C. Only 6 Ds and only 6 Fs. And those are because it's ghosts. Arceus, Silvally, I wouldn't consider them F Pokemon, but they're F Ghost type Pokemon for sure. Goldango is, I wouldn't say it's an F tier Pokemon, but it's not a good Pokemon. Spiritomb wouldn't be an F for me either. And the Jellicent line wouldn't be Fs in general, but we're talking about ghosts, so that's why they're Fs and ghosts. So a lot of good Pokemon design here and a lot of fun to be had here. But I think those would be my final thoughts on ghost type Pokemon designs and things of that nature for rankings. So whether you join me here live and in person Tuesday night, October 17th, 2023 on Twitch, or you're seeing this via YouTube or one of my other channels or one of my other content streams, thank you for watching. I appreciate you doing that for me. With that being said, I'm going to call it a night as we gear up for even more spooky content to hit the channel. This is going to replace our usual Helzari videos as I'm touching up some ghost type designs for the holiday season. Moving from there, that is going to do it. Thank you so much for watching. And if you want to get in on the giveaway, get in quick. Winner will be in the description of this video on YouTube come Wednesday, October 18th. And if you're watching it right fresh now, you can see it right now who the winner is in the description of this video. And congrats to whoever that winner is. Without further ado, that is going to be my night, friends. I will catch y'all later. I'll smell y'all later if you want me to say that, Pokemon-wise. But I'll catch y'all later.